Good morning. I'm going to be doing a basic video today about, I'm not sure how long, but I have a this is a stock-free landscape, either a photograph or a painting of some sort, I can't tell. But these are all copyright free. So you can use them as reference, and because it's got clouds and a landscape in it, I just want to do a quick demo today with all of my markers and pens and colored pencils so you can see how I would do this rather quickly. And it's going to be a 3x5, and the way I start with a 3x5 is I have a little 5x7 mat. So I am just going to draw a 3x5. This inner piece here is 3x5. So I'm just going to draw that 3x5 square inside. I need to be able to see it. So if I want to frame this, I can frame this to 5x7. But I want to do this very small because I can do a quick demo this way. And let's see if I can keep this on. I don't have any magazine photos. So as I've mentioned in other videos, there are 4 ways I do this. I start with shapes. I look for shapes. Number 2, I look for darks and lights. Next, I'm looking for color. And finally, I look for what has got visual interest. So you'll see what I mean when we get there. So let's just start here with this piece, and I will let you see this over and over again. So it's really a very, very simple piece. And what I just see here, it has the shapes. I'm looking at shapes. It has a line here. And here on the top, it has these clouds. So I'm really drawing in such basic shapes. I also see there's curves that go around here. And I really watch exactly where those curves are because this is called composition. And when you're looking at something this beautiful already, as this photo is, it's already got a good composition. I use my own photos, but today we're using something, a stock photo, so something you could look up and use. So that's what I see. And these little pieces, these little shapes seem to be coming along like this. So I'm really looking exactly where do they go in and out of this square. Look for exactly where they're going in and out. So I also see these little houses. So I'm going to call those shapes. And this whole little area is a shape. So let's look at this again. And I want you to see that I'm looking for those shapes within that. And now I am finished. That's it. Maybe one little more shape because this is a dark. So now I've done my shapes. Check. Darks and lights. Where are the darks and lights in this piece? I'm going to actually color them in with this Bic marker. So I'm going to, they're here. I see these are darks and lights. And they're in this cloud. And this part here, this is essential. I want you to see this part here up at the top of this blue. It's much darker than the rest. So I'm going to actually kind of color this in as a dark. All I'm looking for, this is really an art principle that makes a big difference. This is a dark. This part in this shape is very dark. This is dark. This whole little area right along here is dark. This is dark. So I'm not thinking anything about what I'm seeing. I'm not thinking trees. I'm not thinking anything. I am thinking darks and lights. This is, I want you to not only see technique here, I want you to understand the basics of art. So I'm going to say this is very simple, darks and lights. Now I'm going to go to color. So what I'm seeing here, these are very simple colors as well. And I'm going to use my markers today and show you, this is the technique part that I'm going to pass on. So I'm going to put the most simple colors that I see in. Blue. Sky's going to be blue here. And I color right over everything I already have, but very lightly because I want to leave what I've already found, which are the shapes and the darks and lights. I want to be able to see all that, and it actually will become part of this work of art. If you hear noises over there, that's the cat doing weird stuff with her food. So there's my blue sky. This whole bottom area here, which is actually a little bit lower now that I'm looking at it, but I see kind of a green yellow. So I'm going to put all that in. Again, I'm just going to go right over it. Cookie, you did a great job over there with your food. Thank you for making noise for me. So now I'm here. So I have very, very basic colors in here. This is actually going out. They're my basic colors. For me, as an artist, one of the most important things I use, again, are my darks and lights. You can actually see, even though there's nothing there, a painting is starting to emerge. It's not because of the colors. To me, it's not because of the shape. It is because of the darks and lights, because that's how our eyes perceive. They perceive values. So now I'm going to be quiet, and I'm just going to go on and use markers and colors, colored pencils, and show you how I just keep layering these things up toward a finish for this. I may not talk a lot, but just I see a lot of yellow here. I'm using a yellow colored pencil. My technique is all about layering. I want to get this done as quickly as possible. It's demo. I see over here, this green is lighter. And it comes this. So to make a green lighter, you can put yellow over it. Now I'm going to concentrate on the shades of the sky. What I see here, this is a very dark blue. Here, super dark. You also see that this is dark blue under this cloud. And you're going to see me just keep layering colored pencil and pen. Now there's a lot of clouds also here, so I'm kind of drawing in another quick shape that I see. Let's go back and look at this again. So I want you to see what I'm doing. I hope you can see that. So here's what I've used so far, these tools right there. I'm going to try this because because I see more intense green over here. This is a brand new marker. Gotta get it going a little bit. See if I can get some ink to come out of it. Here it comes. These are acrylic marker pens. And I will link to these at the end, okay, of this video. See, part of that technique I use is just the sketchiness. I let the sketchiness do a lot of this job for me. And the markers blend. Now I'm going to go back to a marker color again. Just all very basic colors. I'm going to start blending this. I'm going to see how quickly I can get this done for you today. Show you it's not real complicated. You just have to trust, especially trust your lights and darks. Trust the values that you see, the lights and the darks. Now in real life, we don't see edges of things. So I go in here, I'm getting rid of a lot of the edges because I don't see black lines up in the sky, right? So I'm just kind of coloring those out. And actually down here there's clouds. They're white, not there yet. Okay. And I'm just looking back and forth here, so here's what I'm seeing so far. And up here's lots darker. Now, you see the two ways I'm using this, I'm coloring this, and I use these markers just like they're a blending tool. So this thing, not only does it color things in, it's going to blend this out so I'm not going to see all this scrawly stuff. So let's see what happens. You'll see it going away because I'm using it as a blending tool. And as I blend over that dark pen, ta-da, I mean, I'm leaving the dark color. And I'm just looking constantly back and forth. This is lighter. And I'm not going to get rid of all of the scrawly stuff because I like it. Okay, so we're getting there. This comes over much more like this. Actually, in this it comes over like that. Now, so I'm actually, it's starting to me to look a little bit like a landscape. So let's put those little tiny, there are some little tiny orange houses. And watch, these acrylic markers cover over other things. So I am going to just make these little house kind of things right here. They're just little squares of orange is what I see. And I can put in details later. So there's my little houses. I'm looking to see, do I see any orange anywhere else? I see a little tiny bit here and a little tiny bit there. Now, I use a lot of white. White is a blending tool for me. And I am going to blend these clouds to something. Here. So, see, I'm covering up those black lines. I'm also looking over here to kind of see what shapes are happening inside the cloud. There's that. Down here, this is super duper white. This has got a little grayish blue in it from the last time I used it. That's okay. I use a lot of these colors. Okay, you know, these clouds, they kind of have soft edges. I mean, not all clouds have hard edges, so I'm doing this. Little bitty cloud over there. And this seems all kind of soft to me. These clouds are blending up into the sky. I feel like Bob Ross talking. I see a little bit over here of some kind of lighter area. Again, I'm always looking at lights and darks. So if I want to lighten up my green, I will actually go in and do that and find a way to lighten that green up. You see, I made it way too white, but again, I'm lightening it up. And again, I want to get this done for you. So all this too is actually more of a yellow-green in this front area. And then I see more of that yellow-green in the back. Now let's see what I could do with this one. And I'm just really following exactly what I see here. This marker is almost dead, which is not helping any. But okay. There are lots of lines here, lots of shapes. This is kind of a new marker, so I gotta get this one going here. My apologies. It's a little shaken. There it goes. Yeah. So. And this is the part where these are my techniques. There's no way I can really explain them except to have you watch. That I'm just kind of using now. This becomes a sketching tool, and if I think it needs to be smoothed out, I might do it with my finger a little bit. And I know this comes over here like this a little bit more. And as I'm looking at this thing, this composition to me, I realize that the whole thing is a little bit too high, but I want you to watch this white marker. It will cover up anything for me. So I'm actually going to bring it all the way down like that. Because I want this down a little bit. And these are those clouds. So and then I see this here, this little black area, and I'm going to go and put in these little dark areas. A lot of my technique is kind of a little sketchy thing, so I'm back to my ink pen, and I'm looking at exactly where I see the darks and the lights. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what I'm doing, and I will completely do this until I feel like that's how I've described this painting more in terms of dark and light, then color, and then just keep refining that. Anytime I see a little bit of a variation, I'm looking for that little bit of dark and light. And I see little tree things here. They're a little bit of dark on the bottom. And there's a little tree here, and he's like that. And again, this is here. This down here is coming like this. These are kind of little trees way over here in the background. And there's a lot of little bushes and things around these houses. So I'm getting close to done. I have to stand up to see what I'm doing. I also see this. It's a little bit darker here. Okay. Now I'm going to find my gray because I think I want a little bit more. I want softness. I don't want that really hard black. This is gray and it's pretty dark. And I'm going to come in here with that little gray and it's kind of smooth things out a tad. Now, all these dark things to me are still a little bit more green. Actually, I see a little tad of blue in that green. I'm using now a blue colored pencil, and I'm going to color over those. Okay. Now I'm to the point where I feel like I want to pull this entire piece together and I don't see it looking really cohesive. And at that point, when I want to do something that feels more, I will color the whole thing with one color because I want to make it more of a cohesive look. And then I'll blend more. I'll actually even come down here into this area. And if you see, I'm kind of making these go one way, and that one way helps as well. This keeps blinking off and on me. I'm going to come in here with this blue because it's still darker, and if this is blue up here more. And I'm going to come up there with that blue. Again, I'm just layering and layering and layering until I feel like I see all the shapes and colors the way I want them to look. I still want this even to come down a little bit more, smooth this out. Hope my head is not in the way. I'm saying to myself, these areas have to be more toward a green. They're too dark. They're not too dark, but they're just not green enough for what I want. They're too much leaning to the black. So I'm going to make those a little bit green with a green colored pencil. Okay. I think finally, now I'm getting really done to the end of this demo because I don't want it to go on too long because I would mess around with this thing for hours. But again, I'm just trying to show you how a quick piece is done. And I'm using this thing as a blending tool. This is where I'm calling interest. Now I am looking for the details. Where am I making things softer? And that's what I'm looking at. Where are things soft and smooth? And where are they more detailed? So if I look at this, there's all this detail, and I'm going to show you all this detail right there. That little section has more detail in it right here than any other part of that landscape. So to detail that out, which I will, it means I need to calm down everything else so that your eye needs to be going where things are the most, quote, and I'll say busy. Busy is not really the art word, but it has the most, quote, visual interest, and it's right there. And I'm still working on getting this, the colors I want, right. There, I think we're getting close there. And this is light yellow. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to make some little visual interest things. The way I see it. Soften that up. And to finish this demo, because I'm going to finish this right now, is I'm going to do that sky. To me, that sky has to be smoothed out. And I'm using my white, and I'm just going to do this. Same with those clouds. Those clouds aren't like that. So I'm going to do that. Smooth all this out. Now it almost looks like these clouds have green in them. That's okay. I'll just whiten them up a little bit. Okay. That, I'm going to say, is probably over a 10-minute piece. But it got the basics of this, if I can get it to turn on. You see, it's got more work to do, but it's close. So I'm going to end this demo And I'm going to detail this out just a little more without doing it with you, and come back and show you the finished piece.